Dominic, those gloomy thoughts with us. Okay, so let's talk about what it is that you are so deeply concerned about.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot that's going on within our South African space. On a day-to-day basis, the news media, social media, we are being bombarded. Cases of corruption that are happening left, right, and center. We've got this commission, we've got that commission that needs to investigate this commission in order to have the findings. We have this corruption, which, by the way, not only is located within our political space, but in the past 10 years, we've seen it also arising in epic proportions within our private spaces, from Steinhoff to EOH to PricewaterhouseCoopers. And so for me, it was really, when I look at these things, I think the danger is that we become so numb with everything that is going on that really we will not be active citizens. And so I thought, this is a moment where we need to call our leadership to account, and that we are having a crisis in leadership where people are compromising their principles at the expense of our people.
So we've seen over the past 2 weeks or so, we've seen all the, the hawks, the NPA swooping down on alleged, suspects when it comes to corruption. We've seen, the likes of MECs, we've seen top leaders as well within structures. Are you not encouraged by that, or do you think it's all just going to come to nothing?
I hope it's not just for show. We've seen previously politicians being held to account, and then all of a sudden they arise as ambassadors in different countries. But then it gets managed within our public eye to say we are holding these leaders accountable. So for me, I really hope that we can get to the point where we're truly holding people accountable, and the holding of people within being responsible for their actions really translates into systemic change, and not just things that we're seeing within our public eye, but nothing actually changes within our daily reality. Because unfortunately, whenever corruption happens, whenever people do wrongdoing, whenever people relegate their responsibilities and are not good stewards over the institutions that we've put them in charge of, it means that that money goes away and we cannot build schools. It means that money is going away, we're not building houses, we are not creating jobs, we are not creating a future that 50% of our young people between the ages of 18 to 34 who are facing a 50% unemployment rate, we are literally stealing from them and not giving them a future. The kinds of numbers and the kinds of situation we're facing in this country, I think we take for granted that there's countries that have gone to revolutions for far less than what it is that we're facing currently. And so if we're not going to have a principled political and private leadership that really takes to account to say we need to ensure that we look after the interests of our people and not just the few from a capital and riches and privilege perspective, we will all face a very doomy future where essentially the young people will begin to take that which they're being denied.
Dominic, what choices do we have in the country, though? I mean, we look at it and we criticize the ANC, they haven't done this, and then we go, yeah, but people still vote for them. Then you look at the alternatives, you look at the EFF and the DA. So who would you put in charge? How do we as voters, as ordinary citizens, how do we change this? Because like you say, it's dangerous. We've had enough. We go, we can't do anything about it. Let's just get on with life and help each other out.
So number one, I'd love to speak to the leaders for them to recognize as follows. One of my mentors said to judge a character of a person, judge them not by what they do, but what they do that they do not have to do. And to judge the true character of the person, it's by what they do when nobody's looking. What are you doing when we're not looking at you? What are the deals that are going on in private? Are you looking after the best interests of your people that we have voted you in order to be there? So I'd love to appeal to the leaders first and foremost to then say, in all your conduct, please ensure that you're looking after the interests of your people first. To the people of South Africa, we need to use our voices. Our political system is not perfect, and I think we've now realized that a democracy has not necessarily meant that we are free. Because those that still control the economy and control the wealth pretty much still run the strings and how it is that this country goes forward. But we, the people, still need to use that imperfect tool to ensure that we vote and not just give a majority and hand it over the hand. We need to ensure that we're giving our politicians a run for their money, that they do not take for granted the interests of their people, but put those interests first and look after the betterment of the entire South Africa.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of work, Dominic, but I'm sure we have it in us somewhere as soon as we recover and are able to keep some, some sort of money in our pockets. And I think that's where South Africans are. The focus at the moment is how do we just get from day to day, but the bigger picture, of course, needs us to take that action. Thanks so much for that, Dominic Gaobepe there. Just his thoughts on, yes, leadership crisis, he says, and cancerous corruption in South Africa.